Today's lecture will be over Chapter 3, Section 3, Objectives. Number 1, identify the factors that define climate regions. Number 2, describe the temperature and precipitation patterns of the world major climate zones. So what we're going to look at today is that we're going to look at basically what type of weather patterns that we see in certain areas. And what we want to kind of remind about climate is that climate is the kind of average temperature, precipitation, basically the weather patterns over a long period of time. So your typical weather, temperature and precipitation define the climate. Things that impact the climate are going to be location, topography, and elevation. Location, again, if you are in a high latitude, mid latitude, low latitude, you can also see topography. Is there going to be a lot of mountains? Is there going to be a lot of plateaus, river basins? Elevation, of course, the higher up you go, the colder it's going to get. So what we see is that all of this kind of impacts it. Now there are 5 general climate regions, and you're going to see the tropical, which are going to be the low latitude, dry climate, mid latitude, high latitude, and then the highlands. So this section right here is not the most glamorous section, but it's very important because we're going to look at these climate regions and they're going to be connected throughout the entire world. We might talk about for example, a semi-arid climate, and that might be the same climate that we talk about in Central America, Africa, Southwest Asia, all over the world. So we need to make sure that we know these climates to make sure that we know basically what type of temperature and precipitation around the world is. So different types of climates. First of all, we have a tropical wet. This is always hot. Daily rainfall adds up to more than 80 inches annually, and so that's going to be very, very, very wet. It's going to obviously going to be a little bit warmer in these areas. Tropical wet and dry. This is going to be areas that have warm, wet summers, cooler, dry winter seasons. These might be places that we might see in Africa. We might see places in Europe, Eastern Europe. Going to be a little bit more southern Europe, but again, the key to this is that they're going to have a dry period of time. Semi-arid, we see this around the entire world, and semi-arid is going to have the hot summers, mild to cold winters, but little precipitation. They do have some precipitation, and it will vary throughout the years, but the key to the semi-arid is that it's going to be kind of desert-like situations, but it does have precipitation. And so usually you see the semi-arid close to deserts, but not inside the deserts. Now, of course, a desert climate, you basically just don't have rain. And there really are 2 different types. You're going to have hot ones. This could be like the Sahara Desert in Africa, or you could have the cooler, cold ones, and this might be like a place like Antarctica. The key to it is that they have less than 10 inches of rainfall per year, which makes it so that things don't really grow there. Animals can't go there because they can't live without water, and it makes it so that people basically just don't live in those areas. Now, we've also got the Mediterranean climate. This is going to be where the summers are going to be dry and hot, but the winters are going to be cool and rainy. Of course, this is going to be the type of climate that you're going to see near the Mediterranean Sea, but we have these all over the world. We just classify them as Mediterranean. We have a marine west coast climate, moderate temperatures, frequent cloudy, foggy, damp. A good example of marine west coast would be a place kind of like Washington, where you're going to go ahead and you're going to have it be cloudy, damp, foggy, things like that. Humid subtropical, then you think of the subtropical regions. It's going to be humid, so of course long periods of summer heat and humidity. Winters are going to be mild and cool off. Now when we say cool, that doesn't mean cold. It just means that they cool off a little bit. We also have humid continental. This is a great variety of temperatures. You also have a variety of precipitation, but we see 4 distinct seasons. If you think about what humid continental means, is that it's going to be humid inside the continent. For example, Nebraska, we've got 4 distinct seasons, and we are kind of inside the continent, right in the middle right there. You think of our summers, very, very humid. Humid continental is going to go ahead and it's going to be kind of our type of climate right there. Now we also go up to the northern part where we start getting into the colder areas. You have subarctic. This is where the summers are short and cool. Winters are going to be long and very cold. This could be places like Alaska and Canada on the northern part of those areas. You also see the tundra then, and the tundra, there's going to be a flat treeless ring of land around the Arctic Ocean. It's going to be very little precipitation. Summer temperatures are only around 40 degrees, and you also see something that's called permafrost, and this is a consistently mainly frozen subsoil found in this region, and in the permafrost, not much grows whatsoever. There are some things that grow, but not a lot. And then, of course, last but not least, you have we are not the last but not least, but the next one is going to be an ice cap. This is snow, ice, permanently freezing temperatures, all things that basically make it so that it's very hard to live here. The last one is going to be the highlands. Now, the key about this highland climate is that this is going to go ahead and this is going to be up in the mountain areas. What's important about the highland climates that you understand is this is all around the world. You can see highland climates in Central and South America where it's very, very warm. You can see this in places like north of India. You can see this in Afghanistan, and some of these places are some of the warmest places on the world. But because they're highlands, because they're up in the mountains, they're going to be very, very cold. So climate is going to change with kind of the climate is going to go up. So you might see in Mexico it be very, very warm, but then you hit the highland climate and you go up into the mountains and it's very, very cold. So the highland climate makes it so that in any area of the world it can be cold. This concludes our lecture over Chapter 3, Section 3. Please complete the assessment at this time.